Shannon, can you explain the milestone that was achieved in Colorado and how Toko helped you achieve it?
Yeah, so we at Quarter Homes have been working with Toco for years actually on creating a platform that can tokenize real estate, owner occupied real estate, so that we can partner potential homeowners with actual investors who want access into this new asset class that doesn't exist yet. We've been working with DLA Piper to really thread the needle on the securities laws and the consumer protection laws and the tax laws around that. And that's actually how we got connected with Toco. And through that, we did the first home in Colorado. It's actually my house. It was a $740,000 house. We tokenized about 97% of that onto the blockchain through the Hedera protocol using Toko's tokenization engine, and minted those tokens, which is it's super exciting. The first time anyone's done anything like this, and just the first of many.
It is very exciting. And one of the nice things with all the regulatory headwinds out there right now, you aren't working in a regulatory gray area. We know that these are securities and they can be treated as such. So, Scott, what are your thoughts on this quarter collaboration?
Yeah, look, it's been really exciting for our team for a couple of reasons. One is exactly as you just alluded to, the fact that this isn't a project where we're talking with a client that's trying to sneak around in the shadows of unregulated coins and making arguments to try and circumvent regulatory oversight. In fact, quite contrary, the approach here has been to presume the highest level of regulation that exists and to actually confront that head on. And our view, not surprisingly, I guess, for a tokenization platform that's come out of a global law firm, is that actually regulation is good. It provides not only certainty as to how to go about structuring deals, but it's actually fundamentally good for the underlying project. The rules, much as people may not necessarily always agree with the approach of regulators, at their core, what they're trying to really do is provide protection for investors to ensure that there is no asymmetry of information, that investors have proper disclosures and understand what it is they're buying and what their rights are. And so that's why we very much like working with clients who again want to do it right, want to do it in a regulated manner. And quite frankly, that is the way we architected Toco, with data-rich tokens, where we can embed the legal documents, where we can provide transparency of the underlying asset. Effectively, the token becomes the deal room, the traditional data room that you might have had in a dusty corner of a law firm doing old world diligence. Well, that's now all baked into the tokens. And so, yeah, we're really excited about working with clients that actually want to do it in the full kind of headlights of regulatory scrutiny.
And Scott, while we're talking about Toko, can you give us just a quick update on Toko in general and any exciting projects you might have in the pipeline?
Yeah, sure. So it's been a very exciting year where we're coming to you live from Dubai, where I now live. And I always said I'd never live in Dubai. So what am I doing here? And the answer is that we as in DLA Piper and Toko have worked very closely with the Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority here in Dubai to help them as advisors on building a new virtual assets framework for this jurisdiction. And it's a really ground up, rather than trying to shoehorn virtual assets into traditional finance, buckets of securities and commodities and everything else. They've really designed it from the ground up with, let's not start every project with a question about, is this regulated? If so, which regulator? If so, which part of the regulations apply to me? What they've said is it a virtual asset? Doesn't matter whether it's an NFT, cryptocurrency, a security token, doesn't matter what it is. If it's a bundle of rights sitting on a blockchain, then it's a regulated virtual asset. Here are the rules. I am your regulator. Please follow them. And so we've moved, in addition to supporting with the development of that framework, we've also expanded Toko into the Dubai market, moved a number of the team here, including myself. And we are now in very late stages of getting licensed as a broker-dealer and exchange operator here under this new framework. So really exciting from the point of view of us being able to offer end-to-end solutions for clients like Quarter Homes that can now do distribution of these assets in this market as well. You mentioned projects. Yeah, there are some I can talk about, some I can't talk about openly, but I'll give you a flavour of the ones even where I can't necessarily talk about it. We are working on a number of, I guess, central bank digital currency projects. Not necessarily, Toko has not been designed to do CBDC issuance itself, but what we would talk about is sort of digital assets for digital dollars, and we're the digital asset side of that. So it's important as central banks or governments look to do CBDCs or even stable coins in local currencies, what are people going to use them for? What are they going to buy with them? The benefit of blockchain is effectively atomic swaps on chain. So having digitized assets buyable with digital dollars, let's call them, actually makes a lot of sense. So we're working with a with a central bank in Asia around the tokenization of mortgage interests, for example, at this point in time. And I won't go into much more detail about that, but that kind of principle of actually tokenizing real world things so that they can then be part of the other side of a digital purchase is an area we're working on. There's quite a lot happening in the fund space. I would say funds and real estate are the two asset classes where we're seeing the most amount of news, and that's not just us. I think if you look across the media generally, we're seeing an uptick in tokenization of those two asset classes. They lend themselves to the technology for a few reasons. In the case of real estate, they're often large, non-fractionalized sort of things that actually now can be dealt with in different ways, like the very exciting Quater homeowner financing model. But funds already are almost set up sort of unit trusts with rights in a fund. They're almost fractionalized interests in aggregated things that are within a fund anyhow. So it's a relatively easy structure to then tokenize. I say relatively because nothing's easy as we rebuild the future of finance. And we're also working on equity fundraising. So we've got some equity crowdfunding platform projects we're working on. And we're also looking at doing an equity token offering for potentially a number of our clients, but also for Toco itself. So watch this space on that one.
So some really exciting stuff coming. Toko was one of the first governing council member use cases that we heard about, and I think it's teaching us a couple important lessons. Number one, that it can take a long time before the fruits start to come from those efforts, but when it does come, it can be really big. So you guys have done a fantastic job from the beginning supporting Hedera and obviously making this a fantastic use case. So Shannon, what are some of the next steps for Quater Homes when it comes to tokenization?
Yeah, so we tokenized the first property in the United States. We're still moving forward in the United States regulatory system. That's where we've built this model, and we plan to continue to democratize homeownership in the US. That being said, like Scott mentioned, Dubai has set up a really robust virtual asset regulatory authority here, and we're really excited about the opportunity to come here, localize this model. Dubai is planning to grow in a massive way over the next 10 years and bring in a lot of really talented people to come and live here, but they're going to need homes and accessibility to home financing. And so Quater seems like a really natural fit for that. So I'm actually on the ground here in Dubai right now, working on localizing the model to the Dubai regulatory framework. And we're going to be raising funds here and starting to do some properties, which is really exciting. The other thing that, Quater is building in hand with Toko is a secondary exchange where people can come and start to trade these virtual assets, right? We can tokenize the property, but the value really comes when we can start to create liquidity in that marketplace. And so we're going to be building the secondary market to allow people to come and fractionally trade on properties that exist on the Quater platform, $1 at a time. So those are kind of the two big projects at the moment.
When you can democratize, access, and people don't have to buy an entire home to invest in the space, it's really going to change everything. And also, Dubai is proving that when you have a smart regulatory environment, fantastic things can happen. All right, so Scott, you coined the term total value represented, or TVR. How important do you think this concept will become in the DLT space?
I'm pretty confident it's going to be very relevant. It's still not, and we don't hear. It's great for you to remember it. Thanks, Brandon. It was about probably a year ago, I think I started coining the term, and it was partly as a reaction.
I'm paying attention.
Yeah, thank you. And honestly, in part, to me, it came from a slight reaction to the fascination with TVL, the sort of DeFi concept of total value locked. And if we look at the ambitions of Toco and the tokenization of real world assets and the digitization, tokenization of everything, you start to realize that there's something much bigger than merely the crypto space. Now, I don't know what today's prices are, but crypto markets maybe $1 trillion today. It sounds like a lot, but working with, Quater Homes, and we're talking about residential real estate, just residential real estate, just in the US. So one asset class, one fraction of an asset class in one country is $40 trillion. As an asset class globally, we're talking, $200 to $300 trillion. And that's just real estate. And then you start looking at funds, private debt, equities. So, and actually private markets are far larger than public markets. So what we actually have is a perception, even in traditional finance, of the size of markets that's linked to very visible things like stock markets. But actually the private markets are 6, 7, 8, depending on what numbers you look at, times bigger than public markets. So actually we're talking about markets, 600 trillion, 800 trillion. These are the kind of numbers we're looking at in terms of addressable market. Now, how does that get to the answer to your question? Well, to me, what is going to be relevant is when I started entrusting my very valuable asset, whether it's a house or a financial product or an investable, interest of some sort, when I started entrusting it to a blockchain protocol, which one do I trust? And I think that's going to be essential. And if it becomes, well, when you get down to the technology, the governance, aspects, this is why we joined Hedera so early on, where we looked at it from a technology point of view, from a scalability point of view, from a governing council point of view, and the sort of validator node and aspects of the protocol. This is where we think and we encourage. I mean, we spoke to Quater and said, guys, we'd like to recommend you do this on Hedera, and these are the reasons why. And they believed us, and hence we've done the first token as a HTS token. So that's great. Now, to me, I think that's going to be really critical. Beyond DeFi, we saw the rise of NFTs, and I think they're obviously an interesting asset class. I think they've spawned a whole new generation of artistic types and all of those good things. But when you start thinking about real-world asset tokenization and the hundreds of trillions of dollars, the question of TVR, which protocol do people trust when they put valuable stuff, I think is going to be really critical.
The next step is really going to be measuring this, and we've been talking about spitballing exactly how that would be done. I think the best way to do it is have these different companies that are doing this, Quater Homes and Red Swan and Aberdeen, Digital Commodities Exchange, just carry, up in the corner of their website how much has been tokenized on a given network. And then that could all be aggregated on a different site, Swirls Labs or, Hedera or the HBAR Foundation, all aggregated. So everybody sees that number all the time. Because I'm with you. I think it's going to be really important going forward. All right. So are there any final thoughts that you have before we let you go? Shannon, I'll let you start.
I think it's just a really exciting time in this space. We are innovating in new ways. We're using this technology to solve real world problems, and so excited to be partnered with Toko and working on the Hedera protocol. It's just, great times.
Well, we're happy to have you. And Scott, is there anything else you'd like to pass on before we let you go?
Yeah, I wanted to just I was going to say one thing, but Shannon reminded me of something more important. A lot of what we see in tokenization projects, and obviously we get reached out daily by many people who want to work with us. And what we see is a lot of people trying to do something with tokenization that if you scratch the surface of it, we think we can make some money. And, there's nothing wrong with making money, but what actually is really exciting about and the reason, why did we start Toco? We wanted to democratize finance. We wanted to allow more people to participate. We wanted to solve real problems. And so Quater Homes is a great example of why are we doing this? Because this technology is going to unlock this new financing solution. And this financing solution is going to put people in their own homes. And that's a real problem when we've got global house affordability. So, this is why it's exciting, and we're actually here to actually make a real difference to what's happening in the world using this amazing distributed ledger technology and great part of the Hedera ecosystem.
Well, we are so impressed with what you're both doing. Congratulations to you both on what you've achieved together. Good luck, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thanks, Brandon. Speak soon.
I'm now posting these interviews of Hedera builders independently to my channel. The community, influencers, and media outlets are free to use this content to spread the word on what's being built on Hedera. Once they're all uploaded, you'll be able to go to my channel and search for whatever topic or team you're interested in to find more information. Or you'll be able to get the most recent Hedera news by watching the latest HBAR weekly update. So check them out.